Good evening, everyone. My name is Angela, and I'm going to tell you a story about how I almost died. So, I'm going to go backwards and then I'm going to fast forward it. So, back in my younger days, I was a wild child, an angry child, very blunt and feisty. So, I had an abusive relationship and several. So yeah, I made it out alive, but I never went back. So going forward, I had children along the way. So I have five beautiful children. Okay. So I got married, right? My husband was great. My husband was great. And we grew apart and I still love him, but I just wasn't in love with him. So we divorced, okay? And then my kids started having kids. I still had a granddaughter that was older and a grandson. But yeah, my kids started having kids. So fast forward to that, I got a job. Well, before that, I already had a job. I was a workaholic. So I worked at this place for 12, 13 years almost. And I never took time to go to the doctor or anything like that to go get myself checked out because I needed it and I never went. I was always working because I didn't want to get fired. So I felt like I had to work. So I never went and got a checkup. I never went and had anything done. I went to the dentist. I went to go get my regular checkup, but just to go back to see about my head and, other stuff like that when I was having these headaches. So I didn't think nothing of it until I got a little bit older. They started coming a little bit more and they were very, very intense where I couldn't have any light on. I had to have complete darkness, a cool spot, no noise, nothing. So I started working at one of the major car company plants, and I noticed that something was going on with my body because my equilibrium was off. So I just blew it off and kept on going to work because I started this job. I didn't want to stop. So I just blew it off and kept on going to work until one day they asked me to go down in the hole to work underneath the cars. So I didn't know what this was. I'm still learning about this job. So, you had to go down underneath the car and work underneath the body of the car. So coming out of the hole, I lost my balance and it's like I couldn't function. I couldn't get myself together. So I didn't think nothing of it. I didn't go to the doctor about it. So I got promoted. So I went to another plant and then I started working there. I was there about a year or so and I just started having these headaches again. And I thought it was my sinus, because sometimes your sinus be doing stuff to you too. So I thought it was my sinus. And then um, the last day that I worked, my body started tripping. I couldn't I was incoherent, so I had to go home. I couldn't function, so they had to let me off, and then I got off work. I left work early that day, and it was pouring down raining. Oh my God, I went blind. I kid y'all not, I went blind on my way home from the job. It was pouring down raining. I couldn't see nothing. It wasn't none but God who brought me home that day. I went blind. It's like I couldn't see, like I was blurry. Everything was blurry. So when I finally made it home, I went upstairs in my room and I laid down. I couldn't take it. The head was hurting so bad. My nose was hurting. Everything, all of this was hurting. Just felt like it was so clogged up. So I went upstairs and I laid down. And I like, oh, I don't know what's going on with me. And as I'm sitting there in a, complete silence and in the dark and everything, I believe it was God spoke to me. He spoke to me and he told me, don't fall asleep. He told me to get up. I'm like, okay. Oh, I'm so tired because took all of this medicine because I'm thinking my sinus is bothering me. So I took all this medicine. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to get up. I couldn't get up, y'all. When I finally got up to sit up on the side of the bed, I called one of my daughters and I said, look, I need to go to emergency bad because I don't know, something wrong with me. And that's all I said to them. And then they hurried up and got there and they took me to Beaumont. And then when I got to Beaumont, I don't know, it must have been how I was looking, or I don't know what it was. It must have been something that they seen in me, on my face, my action. They hurried up and rushed me to the back. They rushed me to the back and then they took me in and took me into an x-ray room where they x-rayed my head. Come to find out I was having an aneurysm. I almost died, y'all. That's part one. Okay, I'll be back. Part two.